So anyway, like I said, I don't want to bring this too far off base, but you get the point, right? You only got 3 resources. Economics study the allocation of those resources. Commerce study how the resources go from the resource to a product on the shelf. That's commerce. From the natural raw materials to a product on the shelf for the end user. That's commerce, right? And all of the transactions that go on in between that chain. This is commerce, right? So if you want to be a small business owner, you got to understand that the owning a business is not a resource of any kind. It's not a thing of status. It's not a thing of prestige. It's just a way to supplement or replace your income from the job. That's all it is. Before we discuss business, I need for you to ask yourself one serious question. Why do you want to be a small business owner or an entrepreneur? They're different, but I'm going to get into that later. Why do you want to be a small business owner or an entrepreneur? What are your motives? And I'm not saying you need to tell me what your motives are. You need to think about your motives. Because if you're looking for anything other than to supplement or replace your job income, you might be setting yourself up for disappointment in the future. Small business is not glamorous. There is no status associated with small business. I've owned small businesses for years, and 99.999% of the people I come in contact have no idea. First of all, I'm old school, and people in my generation, they don't even ask you what you do for income. They don't ask you how you make your money, how you pay your bills. It's nobody's business. And people in my generation understood that. All of this stuff about what you do to pay your bills, that's some new age classist stuff, right? That certain types of white folks used to do, and now we have adopted that bad habit of asking people the personal question of, how do you make your money? So first of all, is America a capitalistic society? The answer is no. We do not live in a constitutional capitalism. We live in a constitutional republic. We don't even live in a democracy, people. And it's a shame that you got all these legal scholars, all these so-called educated people always talking about democracy. America is not even a constitutional democracy. It is a constitutional republic. The federal government acts as a democracy, but our state governments, which we are actually a part of, we are not part of the federal government. We are parts of the state governments. These governments are constitutional republics. So we do not live in a capitalistic society. Capitalism is our way of life, right? We all participate in capitalism, but do we participate in it by choice? See, all this goes into why you want a business, right? Do we participate in capitalism by choice? No, we do not. We are born into the participation of capitalism because we need money to buy the things that we need, right? And the only way you can get money is by some form of commercial activity or by trading your labor and your time for a paycheck. That's called a job. Some form of commercial activity, self-employment, or trading your labor and time for a paycheck, employment, right? So the point is, we are not willing participants in capitalism. We are born into a way of life that sucks, that makes no sense. We are the only creatures on the planet that has a cost of living. You know, it's horrible how we let a few human beings control the majority of the human population like this, man. It makes no sense, bro. How we let these people enslave us indefinitely, man. And capitalism is the slave system. What? So understand that. And within capitalism, you have two parts of it that are similar but not quite the same. You have economics and you have commerce, right? Now let's begin with the definition of economics. And this is important because If you look up the definition of economics or commerce, you're going to get a whole bunch of convoluted mumbo jumbo. But I'm about to simplify it for you right now, right? But let's start with commerce. Commerce is everything from raw materials to distribution to retail, wholesale. All of this is commerce. That's the whole chain of commerce. So as a small business owner, you have to understand where you are in that chain. You're more than likely going to be at the end, right before the end user. You're going to be the one selling directly or providing a service directly to the public, right? That's going to be you. You're going to be the retailer or the service provider directly to the end user, right? So that's the chain of commerce. Whereas economics look at how resources are allocated, right? How and the resource, a lot of times people don't understand this. Resources is land, resource is water, it's fresh air, it's food, the raw materials to build with. These are resources, diamonds, minerals, these are resources. So economics look at how resources are allocated. And resources are allocated within the system by way of money. So now you right back to money. If you can't afford it, you can't get it. If you can afford it, you can get it. But to buy a resource is not the same as buying something wholesale. You can spend $200, $300, $400 on some items wholesale. You can't buy a resource for that amount. You're not going to be able to own no patch of land for $300, $400, $500. You're not going to be able to own water rights anywhere for $300, $400, $500. You're not going to be able to own mineral-rich jungle, you know what I'm saying, for $300, $400, $500. So these are resources. And what economics is looking at is how these resources are allocated. All government do is ensure that the rich and the wealthy can own everything. That's all government do. They don't allocate nothing fairly. They don't distribute nothing fairly. All they ensure is that the rich and the wealthy can own everything. That's all they can, that's all they're doing. And that's not how it's supposed to be. To be honest, resources belong to everybody. And we form government to ensure that everybody have equal access to resources. And if you had equal access to resource, you wouldn't need to work all damn day. You would need a job. So now we right back to this again. Why do you want to be self-employed? Well, the main goal of employment or self-employment is to have access to resources. That's it. The main reason why you want money, be it employed, you want income from employment or income from self-employment, is so that you can have access to resources. Now, you won't be able to buy the resources or own or control the resources, but you want to have, but the money gives you access to resources. So that is the only goal in participating in commerce, because that's what business is. Business falls under commerce. Business does not fall under economics. Economics is something different. It's the study of the allocation of the resources. Commerce is the moving, the distribution, the infrastructure, the retail, the wholesale. All of this is commerce. That's commerce. But your access to the resource is economics.
Oh.
Now, when you hear people talk about things like economic racism, you got to understand, black people will never have access or control or any type of control over resources under this system. We will never have it. I don't care how much money you have. You will never get enough money for you to be able to justify buying anything, because however much money you got, they have way more. You could take all of our little billionaires, put them together, right? They still don't have more billions than just one white billionaire. We will never be able to buy our way out of this situation. It's not going to happen, because money is a part of this system. It's a part of it. The only thing money can do for you is allow you to have some access to the resources that you need at that moment. But you won't be able to own any resources. because almost every piece of earth is either private owned or state owned. And that's not the way it's supposed to be either. Earth is supposed to be earth. No man's supposed, I don't want to get too deep into this stuff, right? Because I'm about to go somewhere else, and I don't want to turn this into one of those kind of talks. I just want to give you a basic introduction of business in this one here. So a quick recap, and I'm gonna stop, right? Your only reason for going into small business should be to supplement or replace your job income. The reason why you want income should be to have access, to give yourself access to certain resources that you need and those that depend on you need, right? You got money equals access to resources. That's it. That's it. I'm gonna say it again. Money equals access to resources. That's it. But if you think that you're gonna be able to make some type of change, you're gonna make enough money to make a change and to buy our way out of this systemic racism, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's not, it's impossible. We all could start hustling today collectively and take every penny we make and save and put towards a common goal and take our few trillions, and it still ain't gonna be enough. It's still not gonna be enough. You know what I'm saying? Because first of all, like I said, almost every resource is already privately owned or state owned. And that is a problem. That is a huge problem, because we really have no access to resources anymore. At least not in an ownership perspective. So we have a legal battle ahead of us, man, as human beings, bro, because we gotta get from under the system. You know, there's a lot of work, and there's a reason why I don't like talking about these topics, man, because, you know, the topics are bigger than the topics. You get what I'm saying? You know, our issues that we face, they're really bigger than just, you know, whether or not you make income from a job or self-employment. Because when you look at the way our society is structured, right? The whole system of economics. Again, economics is the allocation of resources. Now, money is not a resource, but money allows you to have access to resource. So money is a part of economics, and money and the way money is allocated itself, right? Because money is how you acquire the resources. So money is, I guess you could say, money is the lifeline of economics, and the control over who makes what and how much you make and all of this stuff, you know what I'm saying? And the control over how much you have to pay for the same thing that white man paid for. He paid 20% less, right? Or he got a better rate on a mortgage than you got, right? You know what I'm saying? You got to look at all of this, because all of this is economics. All of this is controlling the way the resources are allocated. All of that. Your home is not a resource. Your home is shelter. The raw material that built the home is the resource. If you have control over the raw materials, then you have a resource. In other words, if you had the ability to just go out here, right? You own some land, right? Buku acres, hundreds of acres, thousands of acres, and you can just go out there and just start chopping down trees and start using the earth to make agora bricks, and you build your house. You got a resource. You see, the earth is your resource. So the only resource is land, air, and water. And everything that's in the earth, the minerals and all that stuff, the diamonds, the crystals, all of these things are resources. These are resources. So land, air, and water is the resource. Everything else is just products made from the resource. So when you buy a home, you are buying a product made from the resources. You are not being given a resource. When you buy a car, you are buying a product of the resources. You're not being given a resource. You got to understand that. There's only 3 resources: land, water, and air. That's the only resources. And 2 of them they can charge you for. If they could charge you for that 3rd one, they would. Trust me. If they could charge you for air, they would. If they had a way to cut off our air supply and make us buy air, they would.
What the fuck?
So anyway, like I said, I don't want to bring this too far off base, but you get the point, right? You only got 3 resources. Economics study the allocation of those resources. Commerce study how the resources go from the resource to a product on the shelf. That's commerce. From the natural raw materials to a product on the shelf for the end user. That's commerce, right? And all of the transactions that go on in between that chain. This is commerce, right? So if you want to be a small business owner, you got to understand that the owning a business is not a resource of any kind. It's not a thing of status. It's not a thing of prestige. It's just a way to supplement or replace your income from the job. That's all it is. That's all it is. And this is only the first step that you got to understand. I'll get into more later. I don't want to talk too much. I'm going to stop there because I don't want to make this too long. So anyway, I'm out of here. I'm Brother Kush, a.k.a. The Black Alpha. Salam.